Welcome to Sidebar, a Neopets podcast. I'm Keaton Jadwin, your raging Neopets enthusiast.
And I'm Sarah Barnes, your more casual player.
In this episode, we're finishing up the month of hunting with Pet Day recaps. We'll also be chit-chatting about episode 3 of the Void Within plot now that chapters 12 through 16 are live. And finally, we're engaging in some dailies discussion, asking questions like, what's your favorite daily? What daily would you like to experience IRL? And if you were trapped on a deserted island with one daily's NPC, which is non-player character, who would it be and why?
So finish up that spin on the wheel of excitement, because it's time for another episode of Sidebar.
Before we get into this episode, I did want to mention that we have a video version of this podcast now available on our YouTube channel at Sidebar the Pod. But if you prefer audio or you're currently behind the wheel of a car, please feel free to stay right where you are. All right, so in the month of hunting, it's officially over by the time this episode goes live. So with that, we have a few more pet days, including Moehog Day, Koi Day, and Yurble Day. Sarah, I have a very important question to ask you.
What is it?
Adopt, cuddle, abandon Moehog, Koi, and Yurble.
Okay, I've been thinking a lot about this. Abandon is a pretty easy one for me. I'm going to abandon the Moehog. I don't...
Get him out.
I don't think it's cute.
Be gone.
I'm sorry. I know that some people really like that pet, and you know, that is great. There are people out there. Moehogs need people to love them, and they deserve that love. It's just not my personal favorite.
You're abandoning them. We get it.
I hate abandoning pets, by the way. I can't do it.
Oh, it's such a terrible feeling. Clicking so many times to be like, are you sure? No, don't let me go. Don't do that to me. If a pet did that in real life, I would be like, okay, you can stay.
I do not have the strength to abandon pets on Neopets. So, fun fact about me. I think that I'm going to adopt the koi fish.
Okay.
I've never had a fish before, but I hear they're pretty low maintenance. And if I'm thinking about all the different variations of the kois that exist, there are some really cool ones, and I think it'd be really fun for my friends to come over, and I'd be like, look at this super cool fish that I have. I'm going to adopt a koi, and then I'm giving a cuddle to a Yurble, 100%. Because
I was like looking at Yurbles. Here's the thing. I don't have a Moehog, Koi, or Yurble. One of my first pets, I do remember, was a Yurble, and I painted it Baby, which is, they're absolutely adorable. But I have not looked at the artwork for a Yurble other than the Void Within in a very long time. And the base Yurble very much has a face that looks like a corgi. And if anyone knows me, I love corgis. I'm going to have to adopt and cuddle the Yurble. I will abandon the Moehog. And if I had to, the koi would be adopted because I don't really want to cuddle a koi.
That's true, too. That's true.
Like, I don't want to cuddle a fish. No. Who would do that? Not me. Briefly recapping what we've gotten here in Neopia. For Moehog Day, we got a void-colored Moehog and the Bringer of Night Neopoint outfit, which I love me some Lost Desert. Then for Koi Day, we have a Valentine koi, super cute. Love the little artwork for her. And then for the Neopoint outfit, we got a puffer koi. And then for Yurble Day, we got a zombie Yurble, which honestly disgusting. I do not like the zombie color. I know that there's an audience for them. The artwork is sick. I never use that word to describe anything, but I just don't like zombie. And you know what it is? I think it might be a Game of Thrones seeping moment. Like I don't like the Night Walkers and like I don't know. Or I can't do The Last of Us. I can't do The Last of Us. Zombies?
No,
Apocalypse? No. Thank you.
I like looking at the Neopet collections of all of the same type. So like looking at all of the Neopets that have their zombie overlay and like seeing how they work the different artwork to be different for each of the pets. Like
yes. Okay, that's true.
I'm not going to have a zombie pet, but I'm glad that zombie pets exist.
I appreciate all of the thought and artwork that goes into them. I'm just never going to own a zombie pet. What is kind of cool though is the Neopoint outfit is the caretaker Yurble outfit, which is kind of a cute like moment package. We have like a zombie, we have like a caretaker. Loved the thought that went into that. We got some new food items. We got a new stamp for Moehog. We got a pet color, Moroccan Sludgy. And that's about it for the pet days. Also new in Neopia, Neopets polls just went live. So if you have a Neopets account, you can vote. And it is a way for TNT to collect feedback essentially about, what you want, what kind of content on the site, like what type of page refreshes for the mobile-friendly design, mystery capsules. I don't know. There's just probably a bunch of different questions. To be completely honest, I'm kind of excited to see where this goes.
Have they done surveys like this before, or is this a new thing?
That's a great question. So typically they'll do Google Forms. And so I kind of love that they've brought polls onto like neopets.com. So they're able to man all of that without having to go to a third party. I'm hoping that it is lucrative. And Neopets polls typically last 14 days as well. Cool. Just for those out there wanting to know. We have a new safety deposit box layout, which just launched as well last week. And it is pretty clean, cool, collected, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. I know there's some coding refinement that needs to happen, but for the most part, I really love the quality of life update. The last bit of new in Neopia news that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is if you are a premium member, there is a new prize pool for the Space Ferry vending machine. And you can only access that if you have a Space Ferry token, which is only obtainable via a premium scratch card. Those tokens are non-trade, so non-premium users can't access the vending machine. So it definitely is gatekept from that perspective. But premium, I'm not being paid to say this. If you are on Neopets Daily, it makes sense to support the site in that way. It has not gone up in price in years, ever. I don't know if they've ever increased the price of premium. And they keep adding new benefits. But I just think it's cool that they're actually like there's investment happening with like a rotation with the prize pool.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the things that Neopets does really well is if you're going to pay into premium, they're going to make sure that you get cool exclusive premium stuff. So this is super exciting and a huge benefit for anybody who's on that premium subscription plan. All right, so we are continuing our coverage of the Void Within plot. We are currently in episode 3, and we are now covering chapters 12 through 16. Those are the ones that have dropped since our latest podcast episode. If there are certain details that we skip over, it is just for the sake of brevity. And this is also your spoiler alert warning. We will be talking about things in depth. So if you haven't caught up yet, make sure you either listen to our recap of the first half of the plot or you get online and read up to this point because we're not holding anything back. One thing that we want to address before we get into the summaries is that there is a pretty significant character development in these upcoming chapters. The Gray Fairy, who we have known as Baelia this time and who has gone by she, her pronouns, comes out as non-binary and with a new name that we will reveal when we get to that summary. But because of that transition, you may hear us refer to Baelia with she, her pronouns in these first few summaries. And that is just because that is how we knew that character at that time. And so when we get to the reveal and the transition, we will be referring to the Gray Fairy with their new name and new pronouns.
Chapter 12 recap summary. Let's go. So, I have to like put myself back there. So Luxinia and Baelia are looking into Ozzy's memories. Okay, yes. So they are outside Altador and they are all randomly, if you just imagine being like in a battle and then all of a sudden they're like these two very strong fairies are like, we're going to run and make sure that we can touch this gray Yurble so they can read his memories. And then we have actually kind of a cool moment where they introduce the puzzles. So we put together the puzzles and that kind of allows us to reveal his past. So we see a financially struggling childhood with his sister Nyx. They did make a pinky promise, which still makes me a little sad because they were going to promise to visit Fairyland together. And it was in the sky at that moment, and Fairyland is no longer in the sky. Spoiler alert. Nyx did gift him a gray paintbrush plushie. And then honestly, the memory moment kind of ends with Nyx officially leaving for her pilot job with Virgibet's space station. Years later, we have Ozzy, who is struggling to sell his artwork in Neopia Central because he paints everything gray. So not many people want that. He ends up running into a red doggo fox that he names Styx. He secretly rescues the gray paintbrush plushie that Ozzy had thrown away. And Vera eventually approaches the stand, and Neopia Central says, "Oh my God, Ozzy, I love your artwork. It's so good. I'm going to buy one for $250 of this grayified fairyland." 250 Neopoints is, did I say dollars? 250 Neopoints, that's nothing in today's economy.
It's really not.
I mean, he was so touched though, because it was the first sale that he ever made. But 250 Neopoints, girl, you could have sold that for at least 50,000, if not more. Then we see Vera and Ozzy start to grow closer with one another. Styx is like not about it. Styx is like, I don't trust this. Akara, like she's giving me bad vibes. And he's right, because Vera steals that plushie to lure Styx into the haunted woods and basically disposes of him. And then here we are with frickin' Ozzy thinking that he's abandoned all over again. With Styx gone and out of the way, Vera is able to manipulate Ozzy and eventually gets him to go to the haunted woods. And all of a sudden we hear this mysterious voice that kind of guides them. They approach this paintbrush, which is known as the Acrimonious paintbrush, which that is a $5 word if I had never heard it before.
If acrimonious is a $5 word, how much is it worth in Neopoints?
Okay, we're going to take out the black market idea of like what people are paying for Neopoints on eBay.
Like it.
Don't do that.
Don't do
that.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It feels like 100,000. Like, I'm like, ooh, Acrimonious, 100,000 Neopoints. I'm not saying that's like obviously comparative. Like, we're not doing a calculator.
That's an insane exchange rate if we're going from $5 to 100,000 Neopoints.
But do you agree though? Like, there are people with max bang. There's like people with like 200 billion Neopoints out there. I would pay 100,000 Neopoints to use the word Acrimonious.
Because you have some people who have like 4 million Neopoints in their bank account, but then you have some people who have like billions of Neopoints in their bank account. The distribution of wealth, man, is a little bit of a problem right now.
That's a whole other episode conversation. Like, we could spend an hour just talking about the economy right now in Neopia. The economy. If Acrimonious is a $5 word, what Neopoints would you make that akin to?
I want there to be an exchange rate. If we're thinking, because even if you think about how much things cost that you buy regularly, like think about the general store that you can go to and just you buy things at cost. You're not even haggling. I feel like the crackers there are what, like 25 Neopoints for like 2 crackers?
I think there's been some inflation since you've been to the general store.
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head.
We're going to do an Amy Poehler on her podcast, Good Hang. Again, not being paid to say this because I do know Amy Poehler quite well. I don't. And we're just going to quickly look up the ever-stocked general store in Neopia Central.
Do it.
Tangy Tyranian cheese and crackers, 388 Neopoints.
For 2 crackers.
Actually, it's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 crackers, and then 3 slices of cheese.
Oh, okay. Is there something simpler in the store that we can make this comparison to? Don't they have like a cappuccino or like a cup of coffee?
They do have
something?
a coffee and marshmallows.
Okay,
perfect.
How much is it?
130 Neopoints.
Okay. I'm going to say that you could get a coffee with marshmallows at a store for $7. If we're thinking,
that's a good point.
If we're thinking like national average, I'm going to say $7. So how many Neopoints did you say it was?
130 Neopoints.
130 Neopoints. Can we do some quick math here?
Absolutely. Do you have a calculator next to you?
No, but I have a phone, which is just as good. Okay, so if we're looking at 130 Neopoints for a cup of coffee, based on $7 in United States currency, we're looking at about an 18-to-1 ratio, 18 Neopoints to $1. $5 word would be 90 Neopoints.
Okay, I accept that. Down from my 100,000, but we'll accept that. So we'll say the Acrimonious paintbrush is a 90 Neopoint word.
I need somebody who knows or who has done research on this to let us know if we're right, because I'm genuinely so curious about this now. I'm not going to be able to let it go.
Oh, okay. To baby be continued. Ozzy touches the Acrimonious paintbrush and is transformed in that moment as the Gray Painter. And we are thrown out of the memory section, and we are back in the present day where they are fighting on the battlefield outside of Altador. Luxinia makes the strategic decision to touch Vera's dagger mid-battle so that she can maybe see her perspective according to her memories. She does discover that Vera actually didn't like Ozzy's artwork, intentionally stole the gray paintbrush plushie to lure Styx to the Haunted Woods. And then the chapter basically ends with King Altador being like, yo, Neopians, we gotta fight. And that's chapter 12.
So moving into chapter 13, we are coming back mid-battle in Altador. And at this point, Belia is appealing to Ozzy, trying to make him understand how much Vera has manipulated him, and even contrasts it to her own situation where she was previously held captor, but then her relationship with Tavi really helped transform her. It helped give her a sense of freedom, and also giving Ozzy reassurance that Nyx loves him and is there actively fighting for him. Vera is still trying to control Ozzy in this moment and command him to retreat with her. And at this point, we see Ozzy make a 180. He drops the Acrimonious paintbrush and he refuses to continue to fight with Vera. And at this point, Vera loses it. All semblance of that kindness that she may have had at one point is gone, and she does admit to Ozzy that he was nothing more to her than an assignment assigned to her from her patron. Ozzy still pushes back and insists that he feels like their friendship was real, and this is something that really affects Vera in the moment. And it's a good thing that they have this moment because we find out that the patron is actually monitoring this whole situation. She has decided now that this conflict has happened between Ozzy and Vera that it's time for her to get involved. So she comes onto the battlefield and she immediately tries to manipulate Vera into finishing the mission because she has promised Vera that in exchange for total obedience, the patron will transform Vera into the most beautiful, here's another word, Akara? Thank you.
You're so welcome. I said it just how the Neopets pronunciation British lady says it.
Akara. The exchange for Vera's total obedience to the patron is that she will become the most beautiful Akara in all of Neopia.
Which is so, I'm sorry to interrupt, that is so evil. I mean, that's the point. Oh, I also have to say this is a great point to really quickly interject. Sidebar. I answered in our first episode who my favorite character is from The Void Within, and I said it was Vera. So wild to admit that I is actually the patron, which we have not revealed yet, so I won't say anything yet. But yes, like I do think the patron is my favorite character in this entire plot. Okay, anyway, continue. I feel like I was Cusco from the Emperor's New Groove. I was like, freeze frame, hold on, let me just interject really fast. But so evil to be like, oh, I can make you really pretty and beautiful, which is, like grade A villain 101.
It is. I also, when I read this, I wondered if it changed your opinion on Vera at all. Think about everything Vera has done, right? Like, the people she's hurt, presumably the people that she's killed, like there are these battles going on, like, and her main motivation is physical beauty.
It almost goes beyond just like being a beautiful Akara, but almost being seen as beautiful.
That would have a yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and that would almost make me feel better about her motivation because that desire to be perceived as the way that you want to be perceived is such a deeper thing. After the patron reminds Vera about this, Ozzy jumps in and he counters, and he tells Vera that he's always thought that she was beautiful, and this just completely throws Vera through a loop. And so she drops her dagger and is about to actually fly away from the whole thing. But the patron is able to use a magical crystal that blasts her into a tree.
Which almost like is a comedic effect. Like it's almost like, I can't deal with this anymore, I'm gonna fly away. And then the patron's just like, magic crystal, zap her, and she's like zapped into a nearby tree. And it's like, you're not leaving, but like, okay.
No, I also found it to be kind of comical. It's like when you're like, I'm so mad. And you storm away from the situation, and then you like try to slam a door behind you and it doesn't slam. But then we see that the crystal is more powerful than maybe we originally thought, and it ultimately triggers a battle dome event that you can fight the malevolent beings barrage. And all of a sudden, the patron uses it to bring in. Here's another one. How are you pronouncing this, Keaton?
Okay, this is a great question because it's the big bad, and it's like Latin, and it's like, I'm gonna butcher it, but the way that you would say it in Latin is not how I think Neopians are saying it. So I would probably say Vosivus.
Vosivus.
Like that feels like I am a master of darkness, and I am calling forth Vosivus.
It's fitting. I like that a lot. Vosivus.
And if I'm very wrong,
we're both wrong together.
Well. But Vosivus just feels powerful.
It does. So the malevolent being, also known as the patron, summons the Vosivus with her crystal and uses the Vosivus to ride away with Ozzy in tow, leaving Nyx left behind, again crying out for her lost brother.
And that brings us to chapter 14. We open with a Battle Dome event, the otherworldly Nether Tendril boss. So that's kind of like what's happening while she's flying off to Fairyland with Ozzy. So Nyx tries to rescue Ozzy by using her void dampener device. She's able to like conjure her own type of tendrils through the void dampener, which is actually kind of really cool to see in the comic. However, Tavi pushes her out of the way because there is a tower collapsing behind her. Nyx is furious that Tavi's like pushed her out of the way because she could have saved her brother, not realizing that Tavi basically just saved Nyx's life. So they have a kerfluffle and they're really angry. Luxinia tries to de-escalate the situation, but that's not really helpful. Nyx reluctantly agrees to stay and help Altidor's wounded because basically Altidor, she's in ruins. So Nyx and the gang, our heroes, stay back in Altidor, try and help. Nyx is like, I'm going to go off alone. We're going to cover more ground. Tavi does the same thing. She's like, yo, I'm going to go off and help people. We can cover more ground if we're all separate. Okay. So while they're clearing rubble, Junie makes an appearance and is like trying to like talk sense into Nyx, which is really cute because Junie can just yip. And you're like, oh, okay, Junie understands, or Nyx understands what Junie is saying. Nyx does regret her harsh words towards Tavi. Suddenly, they spot Tavi stranded atop a crumbling building with two children, and Nyx uses her tendrils from the void dampener device and saves them. But in that, the building collapses directly onto Nyx. What I loved about this next section was a new gaming mechanic, like a choose your own adventure, which was actually kind of fun for me. It definitely harkened back to like the early 2000s Neopets choose your own adventure generator game. Essentially, you as the player, you're kind of helping Nyx navigate this dreamlike maze of doors that essentially are like themed to like the do re mi fa sol la ti do scale. So they're kind of interjecting that music, the motif that's kind of been happening throughout the entire plot. So she's guided by a mysterious voice. She successfully escapes the wreckage with the help of us / herself. It's kind of like a moment where we become one with Nyx.
We are one with Nyx.
We are one with Nyx. Time has passed when she emerges from this crumbled building. Altidor is truly left in ruins. The heroes reunite. They make up, they apologize. Tavi declares it is time to save Ozzy, but in order to get to Fairyland, Luxinia is like, yo, we got to get together and construct a large giant horn so I can summon my friend Waylon, who's a massive flying Waylon pet. Which, like, makes sense because you do that in the Fairy Fragments mobile game. Like, you call him with a horn. So they basically construct this horn with all of the materials of a crumbling Altidor. Meanwhile, the malevolent being finally lands in Fairy City and confronts Fiora, who calls her Fifi. She calls her Fifi for Fiora. We learn that the villain's true identity is Drakara. I love her. That's what I can say. Drakara? Is that how you would say it? Drakara, right?
Drakara, for sure.
Yeah. She's my favorite character, period. They clash. Drakara wields the Acrimonious paintbrush, and this triggers a flashback where we kind of learn about the history of Drakara and Fiora. Essentially, we know that Drakara used to be a fire fairy, Fiora used to be an air fairy, and they were close friends. Drakara actually forged Fiora's powerful magical scepter to help her rule. And basically, because Drakara was creating things with forbidden magic, Fiora was forced to, I do love this bit, was forced to put her through the gray ritual. So essentially stripping her of her identity, including her wings and her magic, until she can identify who she truly is outside of her dangerous obsessions of creating these weapons. Which that completely, ruins their friendship. And you can tell that, Fiora's not loving it. So lost in depression after the ritual, Drakara was approached by a mysterious voice. Ooh, girl, bearing the sleeves, resembling the darkest fairy. And it is assumed that the darkest fairy granted her a new name and immense dark powers. And girl, this is so big to me because I just picked up the PS2 and started playing the darkest fairy again. So the fact that this coincided with it, I was like, oh, give me all the lore. Lore.
I knew you were going to freak out. The minute I saw that, I was like, Keaton is going to lose his mind.
I'm getting chills. I saw that sleeve and I say, I know that woman. I know that powerful fairy. Anyway, so we are back in the present and Drakara is, oh my God, this moment. Drakara blasts Fiora with the Acrimonious paintbrush and she sends Fiora's powerful scepter flying off of the tower and mocking Fiora as nothing without her staff. Drakara throws the queen off the tower after her weapon and utters the words, "Long live the queen." And that is how chapter 14 ends.
So okay, two things. First of all, one, the sheer panic that went through my veins viewing that comic, and in the time that we didn't have the next one, I was unwell.
It was the perfect cliffhanger, I think.
Cliffhanger, pun intended, because my second comment onto this is you cannot convince me that this was not a direct reference to the seminal classic animated feature, The Lion King. Except in The Lion King, it's obviously long live the king. Lots of conflicting emotions on that because panic, just straight sheer panic. But then also I'm like, TNT, come on. I know exactly what this is. This is if this isn't a Lion King reference.
But also I do feel so masterfully done because also just the saying of long live the queen is just kind of like a saying in general. We don't lose fairies. I mean, we do, yeah. But we don't lose the fairy queen.
No, you do not.
So I thought it was a really wonderful moment.
We are now moving into chapter 15. The Cybus catches Fiora, so she does not hit the ground. And at the same time, our heroes, they arrive, they're aboard the Whalen, and this prompts Drakara to order for the destruction of the Rainbow Fountain. And something
mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
But
what do you mean you're destroying the Rainbow Fountain?
But it fits. Gray paintbrush, Rainbow Fountain. There can only be one. We do find out that the Acrimonious paintbrush was not strong enough to instantly convert Queen Fiora to gray, but she is gradually, slowly turning gray. And it's at this point that we also get another crazy reveal from Baelia that it was Drakara who was the captor who once caged her. This is a real full circle moment to now realize that even though Drakara was going by a different name back then, Genumara, maybe? Sure, let's go with it. But she doesn't go by it anymore. Now she goes by Drakara. So, same fairy. Drakara is wanting to imprison Fiora unless somebody else volunteers. They all freeze. We lose Styx in this moment. His solution is to bark at the Cybus, and that doesn't work out super well. The Cybus roars back, and that scares Styx, so he ends up fleeing into the haunted woods. And Drakara unleashes more monsters, which now triggers the Battle Dome event, Fight for Fairyland.
Girl.
At this point, Drakara shifts her focus and reveals that Ozzy and Vera were not really her end target. She's always been focused on Baelia, and that Baelia holds some sort of untapped potential power. So it's at this point that Drakara reveals that she is the one who custom made the Acrimonious paintbrush, and she made it for Baelia as a weapon for her to wield. And she urges Baelia to take the paintbrush to make the world suffer as both Drakara and Baelia have before.
Which is true villain vibes.
It is.
Literally like, I've suffered, so you're gonna suffer.
So through this conversation, Drakara actually realizes that Baelia doesn't want power. She's using power as a way to try to manipulate Baelia into using the Acrimonious paintbrush at this point. And when she realizes that that's not appeasing to Baelia, that's not what she wants, she then offers to give Baelia a new name and a pair of wings. And this is what Baelia has wanted this entire time. She has been wanting to get her new name and get her wings back. When she would get her new name and her wings, she would be restored to being a light fairy again. But this actually doesn't feel right to Baelia either.
She never felt fully in power as her former self.
The heroes beg Baelia not to listen to Drakara, not to give in to her, and then Fiora reminds them all again that the ritual of turning a fairy gray was about self-discovery and not letting somebody else define who you are. This breaks through to Baelia and declares that her name isn't Baelia anymore, and that the only thing that she and Drakara have in common is misery, and she refuses to be miserable anymore. And so we have this really cool moment where Baelia is like levitating above the ground, eyes turning to this rainbow hue, water from the rainbow fountain is starting to float upward and surround her and Drakara, and you can kind of tell that we're about to get a big transformation moment.
And then we got another cliffhanger. And that was it. That's it. That's the end of the Void Within plot. Thank you so much for being here for 2.5, 3 years. Just kidding. All right, chapter 16 recap. The Great Fairy shocks everyone by revealing that she is not Baelia, but Iridecia, unleashing a radiant new appearance. Drakara then calls Iridecia an ungrateful brat and attacks them with the Acrimonious paintbrush, but Iridecia easily evades that strike and counters with like rainbow light powers. So fully stepping into this new powerful identity, Iridecia tries to de-escalate by appealing to their shared trauma.
I think there's also a really important thing here. Baelia has been waiting for a new name, and it seems to have been an indication of somebody else has to bestow that name on Baelia. And when we look at what happened with Drakara, Drakara was given a new name. Drakara was bestowed a new name by who we're assuming is the Darkest Fairy. But that's not what Baelia is doing. Baelia, in this point of the story, isn't being given a name by anyone. They are claiming their own name. And I think that's a really huge difference to see between Drakara and Iridecia, is how they're both getting that new name.
You're so right. And that is the takeaway from this chapter and potentially the entire plot. That it is truly a journey of self-discovery and is not, I exist for other people to tell me who I am. But this still upsets Empowerment. Don't apologize for empowerment. Drakara was like, no, I'm not having this. Drakara reveals her true motivation. Though she agreed to stop making weapons when asked, she was plagued by horrific night terrors of fairyland, fairykind, and Neopia in ruins, forcing her to continue work on this forbidden magic. There's a clash that happens in a physical battle, officially triggering the next Battle Dome event, Defeat Drakara. So the battle happens, and as it ends, Drakara tries to force her beast Vasivus to intervene using her magical crystal. Oopsie, someone zaps it out of her hand, and the crystal falls and shatters, and a little scroll of some sort falls out. But that completely unchains Vasivus, the creature, and completely untethered, Vasivus turns on Drakara and I think crushes her to death. The chapter ends on the cliffhanger, and Orion, who is someone that we've neglected to mention, but he's another character, an Ogren, who's like a soothsayer or like a soothseer who can see the future or like predict the future. He is seen gasping, quote unquote, elsewhere in Neopia, reacting to this fallout of this battle. And that is where chapter 16 ends.
Okay, so here's the most pressing question. Do you actually think Drakara has been defeated at this point?
I genuinely thought so, because you kind of see like a dark mist where she's crushed. You have 2 more chapters. So if she does die, I do think there might be a large reveal with the Darkest Fairy. Maybe. What do you think?
I think that you're correct. And I'm basing that on what you were talking about, like with the mist. Here's the thing, though. I don't want to be correct. We've built up to her so much over the past 2-3 years that to have her be gone that quickly feels like a misstep. And I don't know, we have no idea what's going to happen in these last couple of chapters, but it feels like to introduce this character and make her so pivotal to the whole plot, and then for her to die and no longer exist in the lore or in the Neopia universe, that's a big decision. So I am very, very interested here to see if she is actually gone or not.
We are going to move into our final segment of this podcast episode, which we are calling the Dailies Grind. Sarah, would you do me a favor, and how would you define a daily for those who may not be familiar with Neopets and has made it this far into our 2nd episode?
Yes, I'm going to do my best. So the way I would define a daily is something that you do on the site every day. Some of them are free. Some of them you have to pay Neopoints for.
It could be anything from like a spinning of a wheel to I'm going to do a quest for a character.
But most of them give you free stuff, which is, I think, one of the biggest reasons that people are attracted to dailies is because they're an easy way to build your inventory. It's an easy way to get food for your pet if you're someone who actually feeds your pet. It's a way to earn Neopoints.
I don't put my pets in the Neo Lodge. What are you talking about? I don't do that. All 18 of my pets, I feed them individual. Every single... I don't. I put them in the Neo Lodge. And as a premium member, you can put them in for 90 days. We're going to dive right in. And I'm going to ask you, Sarah, what is your favorite Neopets daily?
All right, so we are going very classic with this. My favorite is the giant omelet. There's something about that omelet that is so funny. And I love all the different flavors that you can get. It is 3 food items for your pet for free. So
good point.
Classic,
good point.
Classic nostalgic girly here. I'm going with a giant omelet as my favorite daily.
That is, I support that choice. My favorite daily is Colson Shrine. It does not provide really anything of value, and if so, it is very rare. It is absolutely nostalgia for me of going to this shrine, clicking on a button to approach it, and whether or not you are blessed by the ghost of Colson. It's one of the ones that I go to every day just to get a little dopamine hit. Is it worth your time? Probably not, but it's my favorite.
Do we want to do most disliked at the same time? Because I have a feeling in my soul that they're going to be the same.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, you want to do 3, 2, 1?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, 3,
2, 1. Deserted
Tomb. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Why do they have a daily that can wipe out your Neopets' health like that?
I actually dislike it for a different reason. The reason that I dislike it is that I have spent 15 plus years trying to get an avatar. I want to get the deserted avatar that is random when being given something from this daily, and I still have not received it. It is one of the final daily avatars that I need. It will be out of my rotation the second I get that avatar. Why am I? I'm not. This doesn't feel like Indiana Jones to me. This is the second episode that I've mentioned Indiana Jones, not even trying. So now I feel like it might be a bit.
Yes.
Sarah, what is your favorite wheel?
I'm a big fan of the Wheel of Excitement. I feel like the prizes on it are really good for what you have to pay to spin the wheel. I love Fairyland. I've always loved Fairyland, and so getting to go to Fairyland every day and spin the wheel, it's just, a little bit of joy. A little bit of joy to the day.
I absolutely love that. What I will say, my favorite wheel is the Wheel of Knowledge. When I tell you, Sarah Barnes, when I tell you that when Brightvale came onto the scene, I have never wanted to visit more in my life. It's like Meridell, but a little bit more refined. No offense to those that love Meridell. It is like, it is Renaissance-y, but give me chic. Give me I've done feng shui. Give me I know how to build beautiful gray stone slab homes. Give me green and gold.
Green and gold.
Anyway, so Wheel of Knowledge has my heart when it comes to my favorite wheel. Is the payout worth it? Absolutely not. But it is purely, I'm learning of this about myself, that purely about vibes.
And that's okay. Keaton, I have a question.
I'm ready.
What daily do you think is the most worth it? We've been talking about payout. Whether it's Neopoints, food, enjoyment, nostalgia, which daily, if you're going to recommend that someone do one daily on the site, which one are you recommending?
Collecting your bank interest.
Yes. That is a very
But I will
one.
say that is the collecting your bank interest and then Trudy's surprise, because that's like an immediate financial payout.
Yes.
If we're not doing that and we go nostalgia, the giant omelet. It's nostalgia, but you even brought up a great point earlier that it's 3 food items in one. And depending on the rarity, it's also great for another site event, Charity Corner, or the Fairy Festival when it comes to like donating, because the points on that are pretty high. So I think nostalgia and payout, we can probably go with the giant omelet, but don't forget that bank interest.
If you're a new player and you're keeping your Neopoints easy access, stop it. Don't do it. Go to the bank, put all your stuff in the bank. It's
Open an
safer
account.
Get a credit card. No, I'm just kidding. You can't.
You
do
will
that.
have, oh my God, could you imagine Neopets credit cards?
That would be obscene. Let's not give them any ideas. You would be in so much trouble.
Oh my God, I would love it though. Can you imagine like a Space Fairy themed credit card? Oh my God, I love the idea. I don't know how it would work. It would have to be like Animal Crossing. Like you do use it on credit. I just don't know what the ramifications would be.
And then you have to like pay back that amount before you can get any more credit.
Yeah, but to be completely honest, I think this is brilliant. And I think a lot of listeners and a lot of people that play Neopets don't want to think about actual real credit card debt. So why give me credit card debt in the game?
Exactly.
And that's a absolutely valid stance to have. I just kind of love the idea of fake credit card game. That way, like I can fake my credit card as opposed to using my real credit card. Anywho, where did we bank interest? Please open up a bank account. Don't leave your Neopoints out and about.
Nope, not safe. Not safe.
But I'm going to return the favor and ask you, what do you think is the most worth it?
I really do, because I was fully going to say Trudy's Surprise. I really was, because it's simple, it's easy. With it compounding and you being able to get that big payout after you do it every day for 3 weeks, if you do have a large amount stashed in your bank, getting that interest on that Neopoints, it's free, but you have to collect it. You have to go and get it every single day. And if you don't get it one day, then it's just gone.
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
We're aligned on both our favorite disliked. Aligned on our disliked dailies and Delilah. Okay. Did you ever listen to Delilah growing up?
No.
Dang it. All right, moving on. All right, 2 questions remain. If you were trapped on a deserted island with one Dailies non-player character or NPC, who would it be and why?
My answer is going to be the discarded magical blue Grundo plushie of Prosperity, because I love
so
that
cute.
thing. I think it's so cute. Like,
Yeah.
When we're talking about cute pets, Grundos, man. So if I'm going to be on a magical deserted island, give me a plushie that can make Neopoints randomly appear and that is also super cute and super cuddly.
Honestly, not a bad idea, especially if you think logistically about this NPC. He's sad, but he also can provide you. It might be
Yes.
random. Like, are you going to give you like Neopoints? Am I going to get food? Am I going to get a plushie? Am I going to get? You don't know, but
We love a provider.
He is the little guy, the little pal that keeps on giving. My NPC of choice is Shaitano, I believe is how you say their name. He is the flotsam chef for Kitchen Quest. And if you really think about it, he knows how to make a meal out of anything because he's requesting random ingredients from players left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to be stranded on a deserted island, I'm sure he could make me a 5-course meal out of sand.
Yes. That's brilliant. That is some good strategic thinking right there.
Thank you. And I probably, I mean, there's a lot that would have to happen to get off that deserted island. But if I could have a nice meal, I'm a foodie. So if I could have a nice meal, I think I might be set. I get really hangry. So thank you.
Can confirm.
No. Last question. My favorite question. Not that we have favorites in this town. Town? Podcast?
Sure.
Our podcast town? Okay. Sarah. Come with me here. And listeners, imagine a Neopets theme park, which is my dream. And it's also the dream of D&T Dom, CEO. One of the first things he ever announced on like a Ask Me Anything live, Neopets Live. I think it was like, I don't remember what the question was, but he revealed that he wishes that he could do a Neopets theme park or a themed land. And I screamed because anyone that knows me, if I was a billionaire, you would know. I would employ all my friends to make me a Neopets theme park. Okay, sorry. So imagine a Neopets theme park. What is one daily that you would love to experience in real life? And just for a little added context, it could be something like one-to-one, like I want to go spin the wheel of excitement, so I'm going to approach a wheel in real life and spin it. Or it could be more of like a built-out experience, like a ride or an attraction of some sort.
Right. So I gave this one a lot of thought.
I love that.
And I want an IRL Forgotten Shore. And here's why.
Oh, like a land, maybe?
As a land that is only discoverable through finding hidden map pieces. I want a private beach that you can only find if you have found and collected all of the map pieces. I love interactive games. I love treasure hunts. Like that kind of, like that is my bread and butter. And so give me a good scavenger hunt and puzzle. And then the payout being a secret beach. And the only people who are going to be on that beach are the other people who have solved this puzzle. Yes, I'm in 100%.
That is such a great idea. Okay, mine is not as, go with me here. Okay. We are in the Haunted Woods. And for all those listeners out there, and Sarah, I'm not a horror haunted person. However, the Haunted Woods has some really, I mean, every land has an iconic something or other, but the Haunted Woods has the brain tree and the esophagus. And for those that don't know, they are two NPCs that offer quests, the Braintree quests and the Esophagus quests. And in order to answer the Braintree quest, which is typically when and where a famous Neopian has died, you have to do 2 Esophagus quests, and he will give you those answers. The Esophagus is like this huge mountain type creature that eats a ton of food. So you get him spooky food, you feed him, and he gives you these answers to go to the brain tree, which is exactly what you're imagining. It is a huge tree with a brain. I want a roller coaster with massive animatronics. I want to be able to indoor coaster. It's nighttime. I want to be able to basically do a brain tree quest and 2 esophagus quests with the ride layout of a roller coaster. So does this make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm tracking.
You pass, like you're on the ride, you pass the brain tree, he makes a request to you, you fly on over to the Esophagore, which is not that far, it's the other side of Haunted Woods, but you kind of like through the ride layout get to experience what a quest would be, but with these massive animatronics that are moving and talking to you. I would be terrified and love nothing more than a brain tree talking to me.
I like it.
You don't have to love this idea. It's okay.
No,
it's just absolutely, as an indoor roller coaster attraction, I think it would slay.
I think it would be fantastic. And I think of like Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot and the way that coaster works, and it orients you to different set pieces.
Yes.
So that way you're actually paying attention to like very specific story beats. I think it would be very feasible. And I see what you're saying. It's like you could start at the brain tree and then travel via coaster to the Esophagore, and then travel to pick up the thing for the Esophagore, and then you come back to the Esophagore, and then you travel out to go get something else for the Esophagore, and then you come back, and then you finish up by going back to the brain tree, and you've gone on like this literal whole journey. And it could be fun too if you were going to specific locations in the Haunted Woods to get these items.
You board in the deserted fairgrounds, so and then you actually take a leap back into the Haunted Woods. I don't know. I'm hankering for that. This is almost like what Neopets experience do you want as a theme park ride? But I'm still going to count it as my answer for this question.
And that's a wrap.
In our next episode, we'll be chatting about the last 2 chapters of the Void Within plot with some finalized summaries and commentary about the entire saga.
We're also going to be taking a deeper dive into Keaton and Sarah's lore, discussing more about our experience with Neopets over the years, how it's impacted our lives, and what keeps us coming back to the site.
Thank you again so much for listening to this episode of Sidebar. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe and share the show with your fellow Neopians, Neofriends, guildmates, or why not just, send an entirely random email to your favorite high school teacher with no context.
You can follow the show on Instagram at SidebarThePod.
And you can follow me at Keaton Jadwin. And, as I said before, you can also watch the video edition of the podcast over on YouTube at Sidebar the Pod. And until next time,
may your daily visits to the discarded magical blue Grundo plushie of prosperity be ever prosperous.